Welcome everyone to this interview on Gen Z, mental well-being and generational gaps with Tulku Ngawang, Tenzin Rinpoche and Sunita Lama. We are excited to have you both, and it's great to see all of our viewers here too. Due to some technical issues at the beginning of the interview recording, I am currently re-recording our introduction, and then you will hear a short 3.5-minute audio recording of the interview. And from then on, you will be able to watch the entire interview video. So please bear with us and enjoy. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Bardo Cafe to you a bit more before we start. Bardo Cafe has been founded in 2023, and since then we have been exploring the 3 characteristics of existence, which are dukkha, dissatisfaction, anicca, impermanence, and in future we will also explore anatta, the idea of no self, as suggested by our guide, Songtse Khyentse Rinpoche. And our original idea and main aim has always been to connect with our younger generation and to find a way to bring Buddhist wisdom to them in a way that is fun, creative, and yet profound, bringing a deeper purpose and meaning into their lives. So this interview allows us to have a discussion about the differences between our generation and the young generation, as well as the impact of social media and in this fast-paced life that we are living in, and how all of that is impacting us. So first of all, I will introduce Tulku Ngawang Tenzin and Sunita Lama. Tulku Ngawang Tenzin Loden Rinpoche was born on 26th of August 1987 in Sikkim, and at the age of 8 was recognized by Kyabje Tulku Rinpoche as a reincarnation of Gyaltsen Shenyen Losal Rinpoche from the Northern Treasure lineage of Kar-Hong Labrang Monastery in Tibet. Tulku Ngawang takes care of his monastery in Gangtok, Sikkim, and manages the Buddhapada Institute in Kalimpong, West Bengal, where he also leads courses in Buddhism and meditation, working with and meeting young generations. Tulku Ngawang was featured in Ken Nobu's film Looking for a Lady with Fangs and a Mustache. And Sunita Lama is an experienced happiness and wellness coordinator with an extensive background in mindfulness-based education and social emotional learning. She teaches wellness courses on the science of happiness and runs the Wellness Club at Inspiria Knowledge Campus, fostering awareness, emotional intelligence, and the need for self-care. Sunita is skilled in trauma-informed facilitation, somatic and art-based therapy, and nervous system regulation. She's also adept at designing retreats and facilitating reflective dialogue circles to enhance educator well-being. Sunita is committed to youth empowerment through innovative curriculum designed for well-being across various educational institutions. So the reason we put this interview together is to open up a conversation around Gen Z and how differently my generation and the older generation grew up as opposed to younger generation, and how we might be able to cross the bridge between the two. So my first question to Tulku Ngawang and Sunita is, do you feel Gen Z experiences the world and themselves differently from previous generations? And please now listen to the audio recording, and then you will be able to watch the full video recording from here on. Thank you. Enjoy.
Anyway, first of all, thank you so much for having me in Bardo Cafe interview. And I agreed to be here not as a someone who can have solutions, but with the intention to have more open discussions. We have to talk more about this topic. I'm not an expert on this topic, but I thought it would be good to just have a discussion. And it would be nice to also have keep this discussion open, and then also have more comments or your suggestions, and if there's any solutions also, please, everyone can join in this. So with this, the question that you just asked was if the Gen Z experienced the world differently from the previous generation. From my very limited understanding, I feel that yes, they do experience the world differently because, of course, their conditioning when they grow up, when their conditioning is different from the older previous generation, and the world has changed drastically, and yeah, there's so many aspects to look into why the Gen Z experience the world differently. As I said, the conditioning is very totally different, and also the environment the previous generation were totally different, and what the environment the Gen Z have, all the how should I say, the facilities or the the situations they have is totally different. Of course, as a older generation, in the current situation, we also experience things very differently compared to the older generation in in our time. But yes, they do experience a lot of things very differently. They have a different viewpoint. They have a different perspective, and their experiences, what are their likes and dislikes, how they feel, or what they experience is completely different. And it's something that I cannot describe. It's difficult to figure that out. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sunita, would you like to add anything to that?
Hey, good afternoon, and thank you very much, Christine, for this opportunity. Just like Turkula said, I'm also not an expert, but yes, this is a topic that we need to talk about more often, I feel. So, as a facilitator who is in contact with the Gen Z day in and day out, yes, I do believe that the Gen Zs are the first generation to be born in a world that is completely digitalized. So they they are evolved, you know, and the way they look at things, their perspective, right? While at the core they are human beings like us, but the way they look at things, the way they've been exposed, the environment, as Turkula said, everything is different. So, yes, definitely they look at things differently. They have different views. Um, their likes and dislikes are different. Their choices are different. And I think that's what is important to take into consideration rather than, coming up to a conclusion that which we do. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. I think it's, like you said, Sunita, talking about the digitalization, that they have grown up in a digital world. It brings me to my second question, really. So how does the constant digital stimulation, social media, notifications, short form content affect attention and motivation and a sense of inner stillness, being able to perhaps switch off sometimes and just put it away? And I guess also, how can we facilitate more of that and perhaps offer a different environment, and introducing a different environment to Gen Z? Tulku Ngawang, do you have anything that you would like to share on that?
Yes, thank you for raising this question, because this is again very important subject. Like constant digital stimulation, right? This is something what we have in our hands almost 24/7. Only if you're sleeping, otherwise you just have it all the time. And then what do we make use out of it? And how do we make use out of it? And if you're not aware of that, then it can be very it can affect a lot in one's life, especially with short form contents. When we get so used to just watching short form content, that is more like a meditation, but on distraction. So we do what do you call we
I think Tulku might have frozen. We'll be coming back in a minute. We'll just wait for a minute. Okay, we'll just wait for Tulku Ngawang to come back to us. I'm really sorry, I had a little bit of a cough the last few days. Sunita, would you like to maybe talk a little bit about
I think Tukula is back.
you're muted, Tulku Ngawang?
Sunita ji, please continue, and I will continue after you. Sorry for the interruption or because of my internet.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. Okay, Tukula. Christine, can you please repeat the question? We've had a gap, so.
Sure. So how does the constant digital stimulation, social media notifications, and short form content affect attention and motivation and a sense of inner stillness? And we were talking about the environment that Gen Z is in now.
Yes. So talking about attention, we all know that, right? That attention deficit disorder is, as educators, I think that's the biggest problem we face. And the reason is, as Trigula mentioned, it's exposure. They are with their digital devices 24/7, and then constant. And also, what they watch, they keep shifting from one to the other. It's not, nothing is done for a longer purpose of time. In fact, there's no purpose to what they're watching. It's just they do it with the intention to keep themselves busy. So that does affect attention, and that leads to a lot of problems. Number one, motivation. Again, the sense of, because there's no purpose in what I'm watching, then where is the motivation? I think that's a big question. And however, I mean, later on we can build on this further. When they do find interest, when they do see, an area that is of interest and purpose to them, then there is no attention deficit. Then there is no lack of motivation. But overall, on the whole, I think this is a generation that needs to be stimulated constantly. Again, because of the environment, they are digital natives. That's what they know, and that's what they need all the time. Regarding inner stillness, I would like to share an experience. So I took a group of 20 students for forest bathing experience for 2 days, and they came back so much more grounded, so moved, you know. And so that's what I think they need. Because when we talk to them about stilling the mind or, grounding themselves, that's new to them. They don't know. That's not the language that they're used to. So give them that experience, even if it is for 2 hours, 3 hours. And Buddhapada is doing that to a great extent. And we do see that their deeper conversations happen. They begin to connect with their inner core. So, yeah, that's what I would like to say.
That's great. Thank you, Sunita. Tulku Ngawang, would you like to add to that?
Yes. Sorry, my call got disconnected. Anyway, what I was trying to say was, especially with the short form content, is we get habituated with the short form content, which is like 15 seconds, 30 seconds. So then we get habituated with that. And then anything else, whatever we do in our life, it gets affected because of that habituation. So of course, it affects our attention, it affects our motivation, because we expect everything constant. It has to be very fast. It has to be very quick gratification, and then all of that leads to, of course, the destruction of the sense of inner stillness. Because whatever I was sharing earlier is a totally opposite of what really means of inner stillness. So more grounded and more aware of what's really happening around your environment, but also within our own self, with our emotions, with our feelings, with our experiences, or whatever action that we are doing, that inner stillness is disrupted because of constant kind of habituating with very short, activities. Very like, we are so used to that, getting used to that. Yeah. So thank you for asking this question. It's very important.
No, I think this is great to hear, especially that we can also take the young generation out of that environment if we encourage them to do that. And I have heard before that some younger people are even really quite happy to leave their phone and for 24 hours if they are asked to do that. Maybe not, it's also an addiction, I guess, for all of us. But perhaps also recognizing that there is that constant distraction there. And I think also with connecting with others, perhaps it's limited, or it's limiting that too. So that brings me really to the next question about how important is mental health awareness today, especially in helping young people manage stress and time and emotional energy. And do you have any advice or strategies that might help? Because what I'm trying to get to is, I guess, that because of the environment that young people are in, the mental health is also being affected by that, and what would your perspective be on that? Tulku Ngawang, if you would like to start.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this is such a big, what do you call, a very big subject. And it's something that I really can't surely, confidently say anything about it. Of course, it's something that we should really focus on, not only for younger generation, but for overall everyone, you know. How uh, how to help, especially managing stress, managing our time or emotional energy, is something very individual, I feel, because what I experience and what other people experience is completely different. Especially the place where I am in India, it's Sikkim, and where I work is Kalimpong Budapada, and there's a big a difference in that. So I feel like people who experience things in Sikkim and people who experience things in Kalimpong is completely different, and how they would uh, uh, experience and what kind of perspective they would have is completely different. So that's why it's something that I cannot give a proper like a strategy, or the only thing I would understand is to analyze one's own, how should I say, our own feelings and experiences, uh, and also trying to understand the mechanism of what is really affecting me, what triggers me, and then how trying to understand the mechanism of our connecting to the world or connecting to the people, and then trying to understand with that what kind of emotions or feelings it gives us, and then uh, through that what are the things that we find it pleasant, or what kind of things that we find unpleasant, and then we start trying to crave more pleasant ones and trying to avoid the unpleasant ones. So trying to understand the mechanism of all of that structure of our uh, our experiences, and that will really help to find a solution for our own self. So in that sense, having kind of an analytical kind of awareness is very important, I feel.
Thank you so much. I think that's a really great point, to always investigate how things actually do affect us and how we are, how it makes us feel. And Sunita, would you like to add anything to that?
Thank you, Tulkula. That was brilliant and so very deep and very, very meaningful. So we hear of mental health. It has become one of those common words. We hear it all the time. Why I feel it's because, as we talked about earlier, because that digital stimulation has gone to such an extent that mental health has become a concern. It's not new as such. It's not that people earlier didn't have issues or problems, but now it has become an area that needs focus, just like physical health. So the need to bring about that, that area where we also need to give our importance or our attention and learn or practice skills that will help us to stay mentally healthy, just like we do for our physical body. So that's where mental health comes in. Now, regarding stress, stress is necessary, because if there is no stress, then I'll be sitting and lying down all the time. So stress is one factor that we need to tap into our potential, to become who we are, to really shine and give to the community. But stress becomes a concern when it is constantly playing at the back of your head and it is spiraling. And that is what we need to bring our attention to. Like, why am I overthinking about this? What is the reason? Am I only thinking and overthinking about it, or am I also uh, doing something, acting, putting my effort? So that's where stress comes into being a concern. Otherwise, without stress, then we become no one. We just waste our life, right? Um, yeah, that's what I would like to add. And as Tukula said, so one very simple practice to do with the younger gen and with everyone is to check, like just like the outside weather. The weather keeps changing. So my inner weather, what's my inner weather like? And just that awareness. Okay, this is how it is. Okay, this is how it is now, and this is so that constant checking, and which brings us to ourselves. I think one big problem that we have now is we are so distracted, we are so disconnected with ourselves, and that's what brings about confusion, frustration, unhappiness, worry, stress, mental health concerns. But what are the simple ways in which I can come back to myself and back to myself and back to myself? I think that's one thing that I feel would help. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunita. I think it's really interesting that you're saying about, looking after your physical health as well as your mental health. I think there's a lot more awareness around that. And what I have also observed with Gen Z is that there is a lot more awareness around that. And I think because of all of the information that comes in from social media and it's always available about mental health, there's also that awareness there. And hopefully we will be able to give something to the younger generation to help to do that, to always come back and check and really analyze, like Tulku Ngawang said, what we are connecting with and how does it make us feel. I think it's really, really important, and there's definitely more awareness around this these days. And it brings me to the next question as well. Is increased stress and anxiety, because it seems to be something that young people are really experiencing more and more, connected to a decrease in resilience. I remember Tenzin mentioning that as well. And how can we encourage the young generation to be more resilient? I've watched a YouTube on social media, and someone talking about the resilience to stick with something, to actually, when difficulties come up, to be able to push through them and work with them and keep going. And there is a little bit from what I heard, there might be a decrease of that ability to be resilient and to just work with also difficult situations. So, Tulku Ngawang, what do you think? Is there a connection between increase of stress and anxiety and a decrease in resilience? What's your observation on that?
I think there might be some connection with stress or anxiety connected to the decrease of resilience. But like Sunita ma'am said, that we need some kind of stress in order to, be more encouraged or to do something. I don't think resilience will be able to be, we will be able to have resilience without having stress and anxiety. We need to experience life. We need to experience, go through up and down in our life, and that's how when we rise above from all those struggles or whatever difficulties we have in our life, that's how we build resilience with a very positive mindset. Of course, there is some connection. I think how we can encourage to have more resilience is to, of course, be more open to, try out things, be more open to experience, not to be, like to be more confident, not to be so, how should I say, worried about if I should do or not do, or experience life in many different ways. Basically, trying to come a little bit out of your comfort zone, I think, with a very positive mindset. Then I think there will be a very positive way of, being resilient. Yes.
Thank you. Sunita, would you like to add anything to that?
Thank you so much. So I feel that this generation is born with a silver spoon in their mouth. They really, everything is provided to them. So they do not understand the concept of putting in, effort and putting in effort for a reason. So they lack persistence. And as we also talked about earlier, digital stimulation, constant distractions, moving from one to the other. So the brain doesn't have the capacity to focus on anything for long. And that creates frustration, but they don't want to sit with that frustration because, again, the skill is lacking. And so it's hidden under the carpet. And then they move on and they move on and they move on, and it builds over time. And that's when it leads to breakdown. So, I mean, we do have this word coming up again and again, just like mental health. But I like Tara Brach's practice, RAIN, the RAIN practice, which teaches one to accept struggles or hardship or a failure as something that is, it's okay, it's part of life, it's just an experience. And just as we are very happy to experience that which is good, that which is difficult is also good. And it also comes with very good lessons to learn. It's just the mindset that has to change. And so, yes, as I said, the reason why the present generation lack resilience is because they don't really have to work hard. They're provided for. Everything is given to them easily. And so, what's the need? What's the need? So again, there's lack of purpose. There's lack of work. So if this is brought into light, then resilience will begin to show, and it's again one step at a time. Yeah. So for that, I think we also need to be patient. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunita. That's really great. Tulku, Ngawang, do you have any insight into how we might encourage resilience? How we might, help the younger generation to be more resilient. Do you have any thoughts on
No,
that?
as I was saying that earlier, I've already said it, to experience more with an open mindset,
Yeah.
I do feel that the current generation is very much open to experience a lot of different things, which is quite a good thing. And in that way, if we don't experience things in our life, then I don't think it's possible to build up resilience. Uh, um, uh, Through different experiences, through our observation, personal observation on what was the experience like, and even if we go through some hardships, and to embrace that in a more positive way, knowing that whatever that difficult time was not something permanent, and it keeps changing. So in that way, we can have a very positive, in a positive way, like a resilient, how should I say, build up resilience in our life to keep on going and moving. And we know that there will be a lot of challenges in our life throughout. So in that way, our mindset is already set. Mind is already set to face that with a very positive way. So to be more open, to be more spacious, to be more confident, and ready to accept. Yeah, that kind of a mindset.
Yeah, that's really great. That concept of impermanence and allowing things to come and go, and being okay with these ups and downs as well. Thank you so much. So then we've talked a little bit about perhaps the more difficult aspects for Gen Z, but what strengths do you think Gen Z has that older generations might not immediately recognize, especially in navigating today's fast-paced world? So there's, Gen Z seems to be good at adapting, a spontaneity, living in the moment, making last-minute decisions. I guess there's maybe we can talk about the advantages and disadvantages of that by living in the moment. What does that mean, I guess? And from your perspective, Tulku Ngawang, is living in the moment a good thing? Obviously, in a way it is, but what are the traps in that? What would be the context that we might explore within that living in the moment?
I think Sunita will have better answers on what are the advantages and disadvantages. So I would like to have Sunita's answer. I would like to know that, because I know you interact with the younger generation a lot, so you teach and you interact. So I have very limited understanding of this.
Thank you very much. So we talked about the question is what are the good qualities in Gen Z? Yes, they are way more intelligent. They are way more evolved than us. They know exactly what is needed in this present time and age, and how best to cope with the challenges. I think we just need to give them space. We just need to listen to them. They are risk takers. They're willing to test, and they know what living in the moment is. I think so. This is how I take it from all of my experiences. The problem is we are so fixated that we think we need to save for the challenging times. So we have to think about the future, things like that. However, uh, they are so quick to adapt. They are extremely flexible. They're spontaneous. They're also very authentic. So why not give them the space? And even if that leads to a failure, let it be. We are talking about resilience, right? But if we do not give them the opportunity, then how will that be built? So it's not just the Gen Z that is evolving. Time has evolved. Space has evolved. Nature is evolving. So the problem is with us, because I think we are the ones who are fixated and we tend to hold on. So yeah, that's what I am, because with this 5 years of intense work with the Gen Z, I very strongly feel that it's our perspective that has to change now, because they are the ones who are, the future and the present. We are the ones who've come with the conditionings, layers and layers of conditioning, and that needs to be, I think that's the problem. So I don't know if the answer is, satisfying enough, but yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this.
Yes, I totally agree with Sunita. What you said is that they're way more smart, and also I totally agree with what you said about our generation being more fixated. I think we need to be more flexible ourselves, and yeah, they have a very good response in adapting situations, environments so easily, very spontaneous, like you said, Christian, living in the moment, or being in the flow. This is something quite beautiful. It's something very that we should appreciate that, given given the situation of today's world. If we have that kind of flexibility, then it works perfectly. Just being in the flow, right? Whenever we are trying to pursue something or planning something. But again, when we say being in the flow, not only thinking about my own self, but also respecting the environment and respecting other people's space or whatever. So in that sense, if there is a flexibility of being in the flow very spontaneously, and then if there is a flexibility to also not being in the flow, or also working with how should I say, adapting with the situation, adapting with the people, because everything is so interconnected. So in a way, we also need to appreciate in the sense of interconnectedness and interdependence, of our lives, of our the situation around us. So in that sense, if we have that kind of flexibility, then of course, it's very beautiful. It's very nice. Yes.
Thank you so much. It's really, really insightful. And it sort of brings me to another question, because like Tulku Ngawang, you were just saying about interconnectedness and how we're dependent on each other. I know by following some of your work that you're both very present with the Gen Z in your work. And how important do you think it is to show care and presence when working with them? Like it makes me think of community, of perhaps connecting with others and encouraging young generation to connect with each other rather than with social media and having really personal interactions. Is there anything you would like to share on that? Do you think it's, obviously it is very important to show care and presence, but what's your experience with that? Like, how might it be of benefit?
Okay, Sunita.
Thank you, Tukula. So because of digital devices, that one-on-one connection, communication, physically being present, looking at each other, you know, we are in a shared space, but then how often do we look at each other and talk to each other with our whole presence? That's what is missing. And that's what is also causing anxiety, stress, unhappiness. I would say unhappiness is the word among not just Gen Z, all of us. Because as human beings, we need that one-on-one connection. So when we are there for them from that space, then there is there is an element of trust. You win them, and then they start opening up because they feel like she sees me. They want to be just like us. We want to be seen and heard and felt. So when they feel that, okay, she hears me or he hears me, I am, what I make, what I say is, there are people listening to me. I have a voice. So at once that connection is built, at once trust is built. So there is that community. Um, the the reason for a conflict, which again is a big thing, because this is what the Gen Zs often come and tell you: no one understands me. I can't trust anyone. And where does that come from? It's not that they don't know that they are not perfect, because they know no one is perfect. But the thing is, what is missing is somebody to tell them that, yeah, yes, I'm here for you. You exist and I see you. So this is what uh, a society is all about, right? Um, so yeah, when we create a space where everyone is seen, heard, felt, there is no judgment. There's no need to prove. You come as you are. Yes, that
Yeah.
helps. Yeah.
Sunita, and it brings me back to what you were saying earlier with expectations, that sometimes we have a lot of expectations on Gen Z to be a certain way and a certain, just because we have learned a certain way of being and doing doesn't mean that a younger generation is going to operate the same way. And perhaps I just connected that by being present with Gen Z and allowing them to just be themselves rather than putting our own expectations on them. And because I think we can be quite rigid in how we think things need to be. And so yeah, thank you so much, Tulku Ngawang.
Yes. Just continuing with what Sunita and what you said, Christine, about just what I feel is that thinking of the perspective of what is care and what is presence for younger generation is just being there and providing that space for them to be there, and then just letting it be, uh, and just listening. I think just listening to them and also acknowledging that, and that's it. I feel. I think if we do more than that, then I think it's our own very rigid mindset, perspective of what we really think is care and presence for them. We don't really know what is really care and presence for them. But what we can do is to be there, provide them that space, and then just be there to listen to them and acknowledge it, and trying to understand them. Yes. So thinking in the perspective of care and presence for the younger generation, I think from whatever I've experienced, I felt this is important. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's great to hear your perspectives and really thinking about this a little bit more deeply. I think sometimes we don't really realize our own expectations and how we are actually so conditioned, when working with young people. And I think in Bardo Cafe, we would like to facilitate a space where young people can come and just be themselves and just be with each other. It's an aspiration that we do have, and it helps very much to just understand a little bit more about that. So yeah, I'm really, really grateful. There are a few more questions here. One of them is, I don't know this generation often accesses AI for mental health advice. How do you feel about that? Because I have heard that quite a bit, that young people turn to AI and just wanting advice, and apparently there's quite an attachment to that as well. So I wonder whether it's again a lack of community, perhaps a lack of having someone to listen. What is your perspective on that, Ngawang?
Yes. Yes, that's why AI is providing that space for younger generation because they feel not judged, and easy to share what they go through. And then AI also provides some advice on that. And yeah, that's I think that's why they share with with AI. But then again, I was telling earlier, like I was telling earlier, it's very important for us to have that tool to understand and analyze our own self. And just knowing that itself is good enough. But of course, when AI gives some kind of advice, I feel it's more like a generalized kind of advice, which might work and which might not work. So full, how should I say, dependency on AI can be kind of, tricky. So it's important for us to like it's connecting to the previous question that you asked, is to giving that space, because there's not enough space, there's not enough friends or people to who they can trust and share their feelings, or who can be a listener. And that's why it's very easy to turn to AI, so yeah, I feel that.
Thank you, Ngawang. Yeah, isolation seems to be a factor in that, I guess. Sunita, what's your perspective on that, please?
I would just like to add on to what Tulku said. So yes, when you're alone in the middle of the night and when you have problems, then who do you go to? Definitely your device. So that's where AI comes in. And in general, the advices given, the steps mentioned, are helpful to some extent. But if it is chronic case, then that's where the danger is, because an AI doesn't know you, um, can't understand uh, your problem completely. So you will definitely need help of a professional. So complete reliance to AI is a danger. But in times of, as Tukula said, uh, when there's no one, and if it is something that is not very serious, then some of the practices like the AI will suggest things like, okay, do some grounding, do some breathing exercises. Why don't you write down? These sort of things do help, but then complete reliance is where the danger is. And so bringing this awareness, not to everyone, again, let's not limit this to Gen Z only. I think we also do that. We also resort to our phones for any kind of a solution. So yeah, that awareness, that complete reliance to a technology is a mistake. It's a big mistake, because all that it has is algorithms. It cannot think and sense like us, right? Yeah.
I agree, Sunita, yeah, and Ngawang. Sorry.
Just before this interview, I was just talking to AI, asking about me, if the AI knows me, and AI had no answer for that. So, so yeah, I cannot trust AI for to help me with my any kind of situations, or yeah.
Yeah, that's that's really interesting. And yeah, and it brings back that connection, doesn't it? The human connection and how important that is, and how we actually can connect with someone else on a deeper level, much deeper than AI can, and sort of caring and reassuring. And so there's so much to say for just having connections with a person, and maybe fostering that for young people as well, and offering that, like we said before, as well. Yeah, I think that's really great. I think we might turn to the questions in the audience. I'll just have a quick look. Sangmo here says there was an article in the ABC News recently referring to a survey of over 5,000 Australians. Sangmo, would you like to unmute and tell us about that?
I don't know that much about it, but because this talk was coming up, I was really curious that it was actually in the media. But I think over 1,000 Gen Z young people had said that they were looking for deeper connection, that some of them were actually choosing to opt out of all the usual. I don't know how they described it, but they said they're using wire headphones, which I gather is plug in, and that they liked to collect things. So some of them were collecting vinyl records and all sorts of things. Like they had all these different interests. And I guess I'm curious whether you're sort of noticing that there's this, it's not a backlash, but a movement of some Gen Z that are actually seeing that they don't want to be so immersed in how it's happening. So some of them were saying that they wanted to have one-on-one with people, that even going to a concert's better than being on social media. Like it was just really interesting to hear this, I don't know, just people basically saying, yeah, we don't like where it's going. It doesn't feel right. So
Mm.
are you noticing that as well, that some groups of young people are, you know, wanting something else?
Yeah, as we were discussing earlier, that the younger generation is very smart and intelligent, and they know what is the problem with all our digital, technologies and all the phones or whatever they have. So I can see that a lot of people are, especially the younger generation, are more aware, and they are making that step to go into retreats or trying to step away from digital use. Uh, so there is already that, what do you call that, movement is already there. We can also see it here also. And I think it's meant to happen because just as whatever we are so used to with digital consumption of the contents that we are surrounded with, uh, we will get bored with this also. So then we'll have to find another way or something that is something like, whatever the old styles we used to have back then. Uh, those things might, find more interesting. You can see it in the yeah, today's generation's fashion sense also. They like to have that, how should I say, the uh, uh, they going to that old vibe kind of fashion sense, and all the digital photographs that so they're going into that, and that is more, and it'll keep on changing. That's what I feel. Yeah.
Mm. Thank you. Well, and it's for us also. I mean, everything is so fast and so much technology. So it's not just Gen Z. My concentrations change completely. You
I
know,
think we are lacking.
yeah. I
We are way more behind.
I scroll the news instead of reading it.
Uh,
You just notice all these changes. But thank you. It's really wonderful just, yeah, hearing hearing what you're observing and about the projects. Thank you heaps.
I feel this is very important to have discussions, but this kind of discussions, it's better to have like in a physical form than having like online, because of our because everyone is connected through different places. We had to use this. Of course, we should use it for our benefit, but more importantly, if for everyone, not only a younger generation, but for everyone, if we have more physical kind of events or connections, that is more, I think, effective.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, dear Tulku Ngawang. Yes, and it's definitely something that Bardo Cafe is also doing. Like Ani Sangmo is going to give a course on coming back to the body. So that will also, yeah, just offer something in person for people and young people as well.
Sally, who's on
To
here
disconnect.
as well. Yeah.
Sorry, Zangmo?
I said with Gisele, who's on here.
Yes, with Gisele, yes. Okay, so Kushik, you have raised your hand. Is there anything you would like to?
Yes, please. Thanks, mate. Tulkula and Sunita, thank you for your conversation so far. I'm the father of a son, I guess, who's on the edge of Gen Z, probably Gen Alpha. He's 12 years old. He's also on the spectrum. I've also got nephews and nieces. But I'm based out of Australia. I am from India originally, so second generation immigrants, I guess. My nieces and nephews and my kids. There's a lot of diagnosis of I don't want to say mental health, but I guess behavioral conditions that's coming up. But it is the digital life is so baked into society and education. So during COVID, for example, everyone had to use Zoom or other formats to communicate. Like 8 hours a day, they're on the phone. It's on the device. So, and then after that, they take a break also on the device, and it's really hard to go, take a break, because that's how they talk to their friends. That is the social, I guess, life. Any observations or feedback on that? How do you help them disconnect and engage in other means?
I think Sunita will have better answer for this.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So as I said, we'll have to create an environment where they find they'll be inspired to go. I know education is taking a different turn altogether. In cities where I've lived more than 20 years, like Dubai, we now have outdoor schools where children don't really use not even books. It's mud, it's plants, it's water. So they call it the school of the 4 elements or 5 elements. So that's what is happening. So yeah, and I do understand what you're talking about, Gen Alpha. The only way to bring them back to themselves is by giving them this opportunity to disconnect with their devices and to give them that opportunity to see that, oh yes, this is there too. This is fun too. And this helps me. This helps me calm. This gives me that inner sense of, happiness. But the problem is, again, I would say, what kind of examples are we setting? What's our home environment like? What's the school environment like? If we want to bring a solution, then I think we need to also look into ourselves, because as Ani Zangmo said, we too are addicted to our devices. And how often do we sit as a family and have dinner and a good conversation? How often do we tell our children, come, sit, I'm here for you, I want to listen to you? So yes, that's my answer.
That's really very helpful. Thank you for this answer and also for this question, because now we are trying to find like a practical kind of a solution. as I was saying earlier, it's very difficult to say a specific kind of a solution. But then you, Kaushik, you being a parent and you are connecting with your kids every day, you would know them better. You would understand them better. And also to understand what are their likes and dislikes, what is fun for them, what is enjoyable for them. So if we first try to create an space or an environment or an activity which will interest them, thinking, oh, this is fun or this is enjoyable. And then we can include some kind of a grounding kind of a practice, in that very skillfully. So that will help us be more fun and also get their interest, but also in a very skillful way, but not like pushing, but a very skillful way to include some kind of a very like a grounding kind of a practice or fun activity. So slowly, then they would want to explore more, I feel. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's really helpful from both of you, Sunita and Ngawang. I think we'll do another 5 to 10 minutes. I'll just quickly read through. Sorry. Gisele, given the current global crisis and the instability we are facing, many young people don't feel they have strong role models. What is the role of spiritual teachers for this generation? Ngawang, you're probably best to answer this.
I think that's where we are completely lacking. Just like Sunita ma'am said that what kind of role models are we presenting in front of our younger generation? We are also so rigid and we are also fixated on our phones and digital things, and sometimes we also want to relax on our scrolling, and of course the younger generation, we share the same space and all, so they will of course take that example and then also follow that. So I totally accept that that's where we are lacking, and that's where this conversation, this discussion is important for us, the young, all the older generation, to also be mindful of how we present ourselves and what kind of a role model we are trying to present to our younger generation. So I think that is there's no specific answer to this. It is we have to be more mindful, and then we have to think what is important given the today's world's situation, what is really important, because the world is changing, very quickly, every part of the world. So what is really important? What kind of values we should try to, so parents or teachers or brothers or sisters, whoever, I feel that is more important. Thank you so much for asking this question.
Thank you, Ngawang. Yes, definitely. You both said it, and in terms of being a role model and trying to show a better way, perhaps. So Sangmo was just saying, I really like that comment, Ngawang, that care presence for younger generation is listening, being there and trying to understand them. Any more is us being rigid. This feels to me like we can trust they have the capacity, even though we may not understand the way they do it. Yeah. And then Subesha, hello, respected speakers. Do you both believe the current education system is structurally equipped to address the inner lives of Gen Z, or does it require a paradigm shift from performance-driven models to conscious learning to truly bridge the generational gap in mental well-being. Would be glad if you both would throw a light upon it. I think Sunita has mentioned some of that already, yeah, that there are schools already shifting into more doing rather than having books. But would you like to expand on that a little bit more, please?
So thank you for the question. So we nowadays, as we know, in the curriculum, a big chunk of it is SEL, social emotional learning. So education of the heart, along with education of the head. So there needs to be a balance. Like I said earlier, mental health, because of digital stimulation, has become a concern. So how do we then provide the tools for okay, we are talking about education, we are talking about an educational institution. So how can an educational institution where learners spend 8 to 9 hours of their day be better equipped to handle what this generation, the challenges of this generation? So there is definitely a gap, and that gap is being addressed. Education policies are being changed. So, like in the UK, you have mindfulness in schools program. In the US, you have it. In India, we do have a new law that has been passed where it's called value-based education, I think. Yeah. So the gap does exist. Earlier, it was more about making the generation job ready, so they can, because that was what was needed. But now that is there. But there is another gap. And that gap, in order to fill that gap, the educational institutions are, yes, preparing, and working towards that line. Conscious awareness, very, very important. It is coming. But as an educator, what I would like to say is this is not a subject that you can teach. You have to live it. It has to be embodied. And until and unless you don't embody it, then it's not going to make any difference. It's still going to be problematic. And I know, coming from an education field, this has become a concern. We are living in an age where information is overloaded. So I personally feel we don't need to give them information. We need to give them the tools to navigate and find a purpose. They need the skills. They need these values, human aspects that can come in, where this information can be brought out in from their, you know, perspective, with their very refined ways and mannerisms. And they're great at that, because I can see that in my students, the excellent work that they can provide when they are given the opportunity and the space. So that's what I feel. Education is moving, will have to move. There's no other way. Otherwise, how else will this problem be resolved? Yeah. Thank you for asking that question.
Thank you so much, Sunita and Tulku Ngawang, both of you. This has been so enlightening and such a joy to have this discussion, because I think it's just, it's been it's on many people's minds, how to navigate this fast-paced life and how we can help the younger generation as well. And I think the last question of how can we bridge the gap between Gen Z and our generation? We have really discussed this very well. So I think unless there's something else you would like to share with that, how we can bridge both generations. Yeah.
So thank you so much for organizing this Bardo Cafe, Christine and Sunita, and all the participants who've been listening to us. I think this is supposed to have a ongoing discussion because this is something that not just through one discussion it can be resolved or anything like that. So thank you for your comments, and thank you for your questions. This has been also very how should I say, like a learning experience for myself also. So I think having discussions like this, and also trying to connect more with the younger generation, and with a more open-mindedness, not so rigid, and putting our own, what do you call, perspectives, or our own expectations, what we believe, putting our own expectations to the younger generation. That is, I think, not right. So just being there, and then that's how I think we'll have to go on. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for that last bit of advice for us, which is very valuable. Thank you for everyone who has been here. It's been really great to have this discussion with all of you. And thank you, Tulku Ngawang, to make the time. I know you're very busy. And Sunita as well. Thank you so much for all of your insight, both of you. So yes, we will aspire to continue the conversation, and we will think about how we are going to go about this. So thank you, and yeah, see you next time.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.